Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
There are times where you kind of take stock of your life, right? Like you look back at days past to see, like, have I ever felt a certain way at any point in my life? And so as I sit here today, I can definitively say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, in such a short time, I have never accumulated a list of people that I would like to choke with my bare hands more than I have this week.
And you're a soccer fan, which is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just and it's just and you know what's pissing me off? What's pissing me off is not the fact that the tariffs happened, because like you and I are smart. Like we expected these things to get fucking crazy and insane. Like it's still, it's one of those things where it's like it's not surprising but still shocking sort of things, right? So like it's not like that like it's the scorpion fucking parable that gets bandied about all the time. Like, yeah, we knew this would happen. But what's getting me is the gaslighting that's going on by all the stooges around him. Like, I want to literally punch Howard Lutnick in the face repeatedly. Like, I would really love to do that.
That was the first person I thought.
Because this dumb motherfucker is going on TV talking about, meanwhile, on the same day that jobs report came out, where we lost, almost 300,000 jobs in the country over the last month. He's saying, jobs are about to springboard. Countries don't want to buy American beef because their beef is weak and our beef is strong, and they're intimidated by our
Europe very specifically.
Yeah.
Europe's beef is weak. Our beef is strong.
Yeah.
Okay, man. That's a real
could be all the GMOs that we use in our stuff that they don't want over there. But let's not think about that. Harris Faulkner, another person that I would like to just bash my elbow directly into her stupid skull for fucking going on Fox News and being like, well, like last time this country was threatened with a major war, like everyone like girded up their loins and understood that we all had to sacrifice together for the greater good. Well, you think this is a fucking war?
Yeah, you think it's World War II?
More than half the country didn't fucking choose this. Get the fuck out. We need to fucking sacrifice to help. Go fuck yourself.
I love that. I love that. I mean, she's one of the worst, right? Like I've never been a fan of any of her nonsense on Fox News. But yeah, this idea that you're comparing what is going on as it is tantamount to us going the world,
to fighting the Nazis,
right? To saving the fucking planet from the overrun of fascism. That is somehow comparable to the self-inflicted gunshot wound that we're watching Donald Trump and his administration perform on the United States financial markets. Like, those things are not even remotely the same. Only
she's on the list.
That's fair.
More. I got more. I'm not done.
No, go for
it. Fucking John Kennedy out here being like, these fucking tariffs are going to kill us in the midterms, but yet still voting against the bill that got brought up in the Senate today that would take the emergency powers away from the president that is allowing Donald Trump to put these tariffs on. I'm like, you're sitting here like you can't have both ways, John Kennedy. Like you gotta put your money where your mouth is. Doesn't fucking work when you're just like, like this is bad, but I'm gonna continue to let it happen.
Well, like, let me quote John Kennedy, or paraphrase him. If you need help, call a crackhead. Okay, those are his words, not mine.
I know.
I swear to God, he said that in an ad.
Yeah,
which is insane. Yeah, I mean, look, these guys they're running into where we thought they always were going to go, which is, oh no, these terrible things we've done may not be politically advantageous for us in the very near future, right? And so now they're at least throwing out the rhetoric. They're not doing anything, but they're throwing out the rhetoric that they're very sorry that this has happened. And, maybe it's like, it's the Mad King, it's not us type of shit. But like you said, but you guys keep voting to either support him or in this case, not strip this power from him. You're not doing any real work to stop this. Look, I find this last week to be remarkable in a lot of ways. I didn't like. I wasn't as tuned in on the coming tariff nonsense because it's like they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off. I was like, all right. Just call me when we're like getting to the show. And then you were like, yeah, so Thursday is the big announcement. I was like, or Wednesday. It was like
Tuesday.
Excuse me. And it was like, oh, great, here we go. And it's like, yeah, it was a complete and utter shit show. Somehow it was worse than I assumed it would be, which is.
I think it was worse than everybody assumed it would be, and it kept like much like some sort of tariff onion as we peeled the layers back throughout like the hours afterwards. It just got more and more worse as we kind of deduced like, hey, like why these percentages? Why these tariff percentages?
Mm-hmm.
Where is this coming from? Like what? Like because he has this big fucking chart of like, oh, like here's what other countries are tariffing us, and people are just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this isn't. What
are these numbers you're making up?
Yeah, this isn't happening right now. Where did you get these numbers? We'll talk about it later on because the answer will not surprise you, as far as how the back of the napkin math that they used to get to the percentages for these quote unquote reciprocal tariffs, because that's how he's trying to frame them. He's trying to frame them as, we're not attacking anybody. We're just reciprocating in kind to what we're already experiencing from these other countries.
Like, okay, bro. Yeah, it certainly is curious. Yes. As we all know, Vietnam is, they have a 90% tariff on American goods. Like, totally valid, not made up number pulled out of your giant ass at all. So yeah, tariffs. He decides to announce these tariffs. They are. We'll talk in just a second about where they got these numbers from. The stock market lit itself on fire, I think is probably the nicest way of saying that. What is hilarious is he was supposed to make the announcement at 3:00. He moved it to 4:00 so that the markets were closed. And I guess maybe he's unaware that there's trading that happens after the market closes. And there were massive sell-offs, which was just indicative of what was going to happen the very next morning, which is a 1,300 point drop first thing this morning. Like immediately when the market opened. And then I think it got all the way down to just under 1,700 points down today, which is just about 4% of the Dow Jones. The Nasdaq,
it literally
all of those are also down.
To put it as I saw it on Blue Sky, so the estimates, and these are high estimates, by the way, so the actual number could come in at like half of this. The estimates for what the government could collect from these tariffs is about $600 to $800 billion annually. And in one day, the announcement of these tariffs wiped out about $2.5 trillion of market cap for investors. And you might say, oh, investors, big deal, who gives a shit? Like, it's just, the rich getting, losing money that they can afford to lose. And in a lot of cases, that's true. Do you have a 401k person at home? Yeah, like everyone who has a 401k has a stake in the stock market, unfortunately. Like, I wish it didn't work that way, but that's unfortunately how things work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right, here we go, man. I don't know, do people like a depression? Because like we get
it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. I applaud CNN for putting it bluntly yesterday when a headline that they ran said the Trump tariffs will cost American taxpayers $6 trillion. And would be the largest tax hike in history. And I appreciate them framing it that way. Sure would have been cool if they had bothered to frame it that way, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago. Had been talking about it like that 6 or 7 months ago, them and everybody else in the media. Maybe we could have sidestepped this situation. But, Kamala Harris and the Democrats, like they were just hair on fire. They were just talking shit. They didn't know what they were talking about. I remember during the campaign, like, when she was saying like, hey, Trump's tariffs is going to be a tax on the middle and lower class, which it absolutely is, that outlets were like, well, technically that's true, but we don't know the effect of what the tariffs will be because he hasn't announced what they would be yet. So we can't say that it's going to just completely cripple. I'm just like, okay, guys, cool. Like way to fucking present it out there. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bravo.
Like, take no level of balls to call the bullshit out. Like just no level of strength here.
I wish you everything that will come your way in the coming years.
The poor rich. What can they do?
Yeah.
But suffer along with us, I guess. Yeah, I'm just I wish I could say that I'm shocked by this. I wish I could say that I am I feel sorry for the people on the right who are shocked by this news. That's been really fun. That's really have I wish I had that like Xbox animated GIF like new kink unlocked. Yeah, like I'm into watching these conservatives who are like, I'm still a strong supporter, but this is ruining my local business. I would just like to say, Mr. Trump, if you could please stop doing this. I'm like, I can only get so erect. Please keep tweeting the shit out because it makes it into subreddits that I read and I enjoy it immensely. I just cannot believe that these people, one, like we had talked about offline this morning, like, why are you tweeting this? Like, he's not going to see it. He doesn't care about you at all. Like, that's really weird. Like, at Donald Trump, please see this on Truth Social. Like, he's not going to see any of this shit, right? He's not going to see it. Two, even if he did see it, he's not going to make an exemption for you.
Yeah, he doesn't care about you.
Sheila, he doesn't give a fuck about you. Yeah. Fuck off. You're not a billionaire. And, and number three, you don't have to keep saying that you're a strong supporter. It's okay. Like, I don't give a fuck about your future anyway, besides like, ha kind of thing. But it is okay for you to go, I was wrong. And I don't support this guy.
Would actually show growth on your part to be able to admit, like, hey, you know what? I might have fucked up here. Might have screwed the pooch on this one.
No, not them. Still a strong supporter, but I'm forced to eat dog food alongside my dog just to survive, Mr. Trump. If you could please, just say you were wrong, man. Just say you're wrong. Get in the back of the line. We're going to the Capitol. Just say you were wrong. And I don't understand why these guys, they just refuse to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe they fucked up. Or all the people no, it's now patriotic and it's a good thing that companies are losing billions of dollars, that the markets are losing trillions of dollars in the economy. No, this is patriotic because once we lose, I don't know, $7 trillion, then we'll be able to build back better and then we'll be leaner and more agile as a country. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I will give you my favorite thing that I read, and I shared this with Jay, and I said that I really wish I could send this tweet in a time machine back to 2005 Jay and let him read it and watch him keel over and fall on the floor. Quote, I think capitalism far superior to socialism, and free markets with a welfare state and some regulation far superior to a government-run economy with limited room for freedom. But if capitalists side with authoritarians, better social democracy than corporatist authoritarianism. Jay, do you know who said those words today? Or actually, not today. He actually said this over a year ago, but it proves prescient today. None other than Bill Kristol.
Quote,
as Terrence once coined, the wrongest dude on earth.
He said it a little bit more.
I can't say what Terrence said, but
yeah. With a little bit more paprika on it, a little bit more spice on it.
Right.
But the point still stands. It's the meme of the worst dude ever. Just made a good point. God damn it. But I mean, in fairness to Bill Kristol, which is a wild thing for me to say out loud, he's been kind of I wouldn't say a never Trumper, but I mean, he kind of has.
He has been a never Trumper. He is 100% like a card carrying from like an OG never Trumper. He has never fucked with that dude.
Yeah, I mean, so respect to him. It's doesn't feel good to say, but respect to him for at least acknowledging. Okay, I'm a conservative. I'm definitely an ideologue in all the worst ways. But at least I believe in something. And at least I'm intellectually consistent about the financial views I have and what I think is better for the country. Now, we would not agree with Bill Kristol on what we think financially is good for the country. I should think not. But I think we all can agree that the tariffs are very, very bad, and that allowing fascism to reign and authoritarianism to reign is a terrible idea. And that is how far we've come, is that people like Bill Kristol and Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney and AOC and Bernie are all on the same side. Like that's fucking insane.
They're like, please give us the socialism over this. We will happily take the socialism over anything that you could possibly over anything that's going on. So just to cut, like, basically almost every country in the world is getting tariffs levied against it, and these are going into effect apparently on April 9th is what they said. So next Wednesday is your list as we're recording this. Every single country seems to have been impacted, including excepting a couple notable countries like Russia and North Korea and Cuba are somehow exempted from this process.
Well, we're not. Okay, are we even trading with Cuba? I would imagine we're not.
Probably not. Probably
right. So it doesn't.
But as we'll see later in the show, that's not going to stop them from levying tariffs, even if we're not trading with any particular countries.
Spoiler alert: there doesn't even have to be citizens of any kind,
right, to levy tariffs. Some of the like notable ones here, like 49% tariff for Cambodia, 20% for the EU, 46% for Vietnam, and 34% for China, which stacks on top of the already 20% tariffs that they are already charging on goods coming in from China, for a total of 54% tariffs.
So
from the places that we get things from.
So let me understand this. We're putting 54% tariff on China. Have they been to Walmart before? Everything at Walmart is from China. What are the prices going to look like for his rank and file constituency that live in rural city or rural towns and in states that don't have massive populations, where Walmart is not just your big box store, but it's also your grocery store? Right? Because they have chewed up all the other local businesses. That is a very real thing. What are those people supposed to do when Walmart cranks the prices on everything? Like, yeah, maybe not all of their produce comes from China, obviously, but I mean, if you're going to crank the prices, like, they're still a corporation. They're not here to help you. They're going to crank the prices on everything because they can.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
What happens?
Absolutely. And this even this Verge story that we're looking at here, like, even talks about like Apple. So Apple, in an effort of good faith, right, to kind of like, hey, like, because the Biden administration also wasn't super gung ho for China. Like, they wanted to move as much as from there as they could in an effort of good faith. So like Apple's like, okay, cool, like, we produce a lot of shit in China. We're going to take a lot of we're going to spend billions of dollars to move a lot of our iPhone production away from China and to India, which is still a country with a pretty cheap labor market, but it's a growing country in terms of industrialization and stuff like that. So like, we're going to spend billions of dollars. We're going to move this shit there, and they moved a lot of iPhone production to India. Well, now India's getting a 26% tariff on top of that. So like, if you're Apple,
cool,
you're just like. Yeah,
I guess we save some money, but we're still getting fucking hosed.
And oh, by the way, like, our stock price lost about fucking what, 10% today.
Yeah, let's see. It wasn't good.
How many billions of dollars is that?
Yeah,
a 10% lop off of Apple's.
It lost 11.74% just today.
That is literally. $300 billion, $400 billion.
Hope it was worth it.
Just Apple.
And by the way,
all gone.
You not only are you paying the money now to move this stuff to India, which costs a shit ton of money, obviously, right? And look, don't get me wrong, they're moving to a cheap labor market. I don't know if it's necessarily cheaper than China, but I'm sure it's kind of right in line with pretty inexpensive labor. And I say that in like the most like unhumanistic way. I realize, like, those are people, right? Like I don't want to just say like, oh, is this cheaper labor? Like they just have cheaper.
Look, we all know what the fucking score is, and we turn a blind eye to this shit because we like.
Yeah, we do. So that we don't have to pay $2,000 for a phone. I mean, we're all gigantic hypocrites about it, right? But I say all that to say, like, Tim Apple, that's his official name, obviously. He spent $1 million. He gave $1 million to Trump's inauguration, slush fund, right? So you built this, dude. Like you are now having your company spend more money to move your shit to India, and your stock is dropping like crazy. This is why you don't bend the knee to this guy. This is why you don't, because it doesn't matter what you do. You can't genuflect enough to escape his mad king wrath. You just can't, unless you have control over him, like in Russia, which is why they don't have any fucking tariffs put on them, right? There is no argument at this point. Oh, well, he's sticking it to Russia. In the middle of the Ukrainian shit, where you could use the tariffs, if it worked the way that you're saying it does, it doesn't. But if under your thought process,
I don't even think they're pretending that that's a thing anymore. By the way, now that they're in place and now they don't have to run on it, they're not even they're not even running that.
That's true, because there's like hardships.
There's gonna be pain. Yeah, there's gonna be pain.
It's like, we all
gotta gird up our loins and suffer through this together, because there's gonna be some pain.
It's like, but why would we have to do that?
You told us to fix it. The other countries paid for it.
Right. So to that point, it's like, you guys built this. If you bend the knee to this guy, you will never get into a place that you're saved. Like, he doesn't play nice to his toadies. Like this idea of like, well, I'll be under his umbrella of protection. There is no umbrella of protection. He historically treats the people who cozy up to him the most the worst. Like, he likes to smack you around because you're right the fuck there.
Again,
I don't know, man. Be a student of history.
I mean, people. I don't know why anyone would cozy up to this dude after, again, literally was encouraging the fucking public stringing up of his current vice president.
Yeah, I don't get it.
At that point, you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to fuck with this dude. Like, clearly, crime does not pay, as the old saying goes. So, yeah, like for all the business people, for all the people that we got to get him in there because this is going to be great for businesses and it's going to be great for the markets and we're going to make so much money and it's going to be fucking spectacular and blah 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 blah. I love this for them. I absolutely love this for them. I just wish that the rest of us didn't have to go along for the ride. Alongside of them as well. Like, I wish this could just be happening to them, and leave the rest of us who didn't want this alone. But of course, that's not the way the world works. So we are all stuck with this.
One last thing, and we'll take a quick break. Here's the thing that I find really fucking hilarious. So these tariffs get put into place, and that's the biggest story, right? Like, and it just sucks up all the oxygen in the room, and that's what everyone focuses on. But there was another thing that happened about tariffs a couple days before this that was the biggest fucking story, which was in a leaked call with CEOs of the automotive companies, he told them, don't raise your prices. As we put these tariffs in place, don't raise your prices. Thus undercutting the entirety of the foreign countries. They're the ones who pay the tariff. But why would you have to tell the automotive companies in the U.S. not to raise their prices if their prices or their money isn't affected by the tariff? The only reason why you would tell them to not raise prices is because they, like every other corporation that's worth their salt, are going to push the raised prices from the tariffs onto their consumers. So you're telling them to lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna raise your manufacturing costs up by, or your importing costs up by 25%. Again, a lot of American car companies, as we talked about on the last show, build their cars in Canada or Mexico, or in some cases China. Like some of the like Ford and Hyundai EVs are built in China and then brought over here.
And that's not anything to say about parts as well, which are all over the world, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Even cars built in America probably have a shitload of Chinese parts under the hood. Like that's just the way it is. There is no car that is manufactured in whole in the United States. So every company gets hit by this regardless. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, he's literally telling them, hey, just eat shit on profits because I don't want to look bad when I'm charging you guys more money for this stuff, which is a noble, a noble pursuit. Maybe not the best reason for trying to achieve that. Like, he doesn't give a shit about Americans. He just wants to, make sure that he doesn't look like he's going to take the blame for car prices all of a sudden being raised by 25% across the board.
Right. But it tells you he is well aware.
Well, he's well aware.
He's well aware that the tariff rhetoric is bullshit. But now to your point earlier, now that the tariffs are already in place, don't worry about it. Let the suffering begin, the patriotic suffering begin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And MAGA idiots are like, hell yeah, brother. I'm willing to pay $500 for groceries that I paid half of that last week.
The new line that he's running now is he's comparing it to a patient who just got surgery. So, like, you just get surgery. So, like, now we're in recovery. And then once we're done recovery, like, we'll be back better than we were before somehow. Because don't you know, it's so easy for manufacturing and production to just spring up in the United States overnight. Forget the fact that you need to build facilities. Forget the fact that you need to spend money. Forget the fact that you need to train workers. Forget the fact that you need forget the fact that you need raw material, which you will also have to import from all these countries that you're passing tariffs onto. Forget all of that. It's just so easy to just bring manufacturing back full speed. We are so back to an industrial nation, Jay. It is going to be so awesome. Just you wait and see. We are going to be so much cooler than we were before, when we don't have to import anything from anybody, and everyone will want all of our stuff, like our strong beef and things of that nature as well. It's going to be so cool.
Dude, I have never heard someone of such a mature age speak like a goddamn caveman who didn't have CTE from, like, combat sports. Like, their beef is weak, our beef strong. That's why America's the best. What are you You're an adult. Like, you're an adult.
You don't know that Howard Lutnick's never had a significant brain injury. He could have.
You
could be making fun of that dude, and he could have like 8 concussions throughout his life. Because I'd imagine someone as dumb as him probably just falls down from walking constantly. So, like, I'm sure he's hit his head on some things.
You know what? That's my bad. I'm being an ableist. Actually,
you are.
Yes, I should not assume that any Republican's brain is fully functional. That's not fair. I should not hold them to high standards like that. All right.
Well, hang on. Before we get into news you need, we have to tie the bow on the tariff discussion, because you have to wonder, like, well, like, they had this chart, and it's like, all right, like, these countries are charging these tariffs to us, and we're going to charge these tariffs. Which, by the way, the tariffs we're charging, not as bad as the ones that they're charging us. Like, we're actually being quite generous in this respect. So, like, people looked at this, and economists looked at this, and they're just like, They looked at the chart where they're just like, hey, here's what these countries are charging tariffs to the U.S. And they're like, how the fuck where are they getting these numbers from?
Where are you getting
this doesn't make any fucking sense.
90% tariffs from Vietnam? Like, where are you getting?
Right. So it took until Wednesday night for an economist named James Surowiecki, who's like, holy shit, I fucking figured it out. Like, I figured out how they got the numbers that they're working on. So basically what the Trump administration did is they looked at the trade, our trade deficit. So the U.S. is the world's biggest importer. We import a lot more goods than we export, essentially, and we have what's called a trade deficit with most countries that we do business with. Much like the fucking federal deficit, which people think means something that it doesn't fucking mean. A trade deficit simply means that you buy more.
We're reckless spending.
Yeah, a trade deficit simply means that you buy more goods from a country than they buy from you. That's all it means. It's just a number to show.
But it has the word deficit in it.
It has the word deficit in it, so Trump thinks it's fucking bad. So he literally took the trade deficit. Basically, the way they looked at the numbers is they said, all right, if a country's buying 20 billion of our stuff, and we're buying 30 billion of their stuff, well, they're buying 50% more stuff from us than we're buying from them. So therefore, they're charging us a 50% tariff. So we're going to charge them a 25% tariff. That's literally the logic that they were using to figure out how much tariff these countries.
Sound logic, bro. The country is being run by a bunch of 4-year-olds.
This doesn't make sense because fucking people on CNBC were pointing out today, fucking rightly, oh, so does this mean that you have a trade deficit with your hairdresser because they're not buying stuff from you, right. and you're buying services from them? All of a sudden that means you have a trade deficit with your hairdresser, so you should charge your hairdresser fucking more money for their services, or you should pay more for their services. That's the fucking logic that you're
right. It's very dumb, but it also does something that is really bizarre. As you're saying, I'm thinking about this. If you're taking, and I'd have to look at that chart again. If you're taking it by that logic, which is clearly what they're doing, that means you have an outsized high level of tariffs as they see it on the United States, which would imply a higher retaliatory tariff that we're putting on these countries for poorer countries, right? Because they are more likely to be buying things from us because they don't have those certain natural resources, or hey man, we can't get grapes or whatever. We got to get those from the U.S. or we got to get these other particular things from the U.S. So they're more likely to be they're more likely to be selling us things, right? I got this wrong. What I'm saying is they have more resources to give, right? Hey, we have all of this fucking grain. We have all of this soybeans or whatever. We have all of these things. I know America's a big soybean exporter, but to my point, China has all of these things that they can give because one, they're a huge country, right? Yeah, they don't necessarily need certain things that we have in the United States because the United States isn't a manufacturing country. We have long, since the 1950s, have moved, especially because of computers, we've moved into the service industry. That is where our bread and butter is. This idea of bringing the country back into a manufacturing industry, and I'm trying to say this as nicely as I can.
No, why? Why are you trying to say as nicely as you can?
Say
what you mean.
No. Not to be nice to them, not to be nice to these fuckers in DC, but to say this to American citizens. The people who work in industries or did work in industries that were manufacturing industries, you are a big cause of all of this horseshit. And I'll tell you why. Because you cannot get over the fact that it has been almost 70 years that industry has long died. And you refuse to fucking learn a lesson. I hate to say that because it sounds fucking mean. Bro, we're not going to be making t-shirts in the United States anymore. We're not making brooms and fucking aluminum cans and shit. We're not doing that anymore because the country is more modernized. If you want to do those type of jobs, you got to go overseas, bro. You got to go to live in India. You got to go live in China and places like that.
And by the way,
places exist like that is because they're poor. Because
right. That's the thing. That's the thing that people don't understand is that it's a good thing that we've moved past those jobs.
Yes.
Because you're not gonna fucking get a job at the aluminum can factory making fucking $20 an hour. No. You're gonna that's gonna be if that came back to America, that'd be a minimum wage job. Or holy shit, we can't afford to pay minimum wage to the aluminum fucking can workers. So let's get rid of the minimum wage so that we can afford to pay them sub minimum wage.
Right.
And that's exactly what would fucking happen.
Right. So
because that's what's happening in other countries right now.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. So minimum wage. They don't have a minimum wage. Right. So yeah, that's why I'm hesitant in saying that because it feels mean to people who are just trying to survive. You know what I mean? I'm not here to shit on fucking poor people unless you vote for Trump. I'm not here to shit on you for trying to keep a livelihood. But in reality, your inability to understand where the country has long gone, is the reason we are still having these dumb fucking fights every 4 years. We got to bring manufacturing jobs back. We don't, though. We don't. We have tried every time there is a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress, they have been like, here's free education on these new technologies. Hey, instead of digging out fucking rocks out of a mine, why don't you put up solar panels? They're trying to educate. Here's how you do programming. Here's how you work in these other industries and stuff like that. You got to move on. You got to move on. It sounds fucked up, but you have to move on. We are in this shit right now because this guy is telling you that he's going to bring these jobs back. He's not. And you see all these Republicans on TikTok and all this on Instagram are like, he's bringing manufacturing jobs back. Becky, which manufacturing job do you want? Which factory would you like to work on? You don't want those jobs. You know which industry is one of the biggest that's right near the border and why they never fuck with it? Meat packing industry. Because they bring people from south of us in Latin America, when they come across the border, a lot of them work in the meat packing industries. They're all right on the border, man. You know why? Because they're factory jobs. Those jobs ain't going nowhere. Not for now, right? Until we start growing all our meat in labs, right? Like 10 years from now, right? But that's why they're all across the border. They're probably, the entrance door is probably facing Mexico. Like they're like, just come on in. It's not even the back door. So this idea that you want these manufacturing jobs back, you don't though. You motherfuckers don't want to go down to Florida and pick oranges. You think you want to work in a factory manufacturing aluminum cans? No, you don't. You ever seen documentaries of people working in factories? That's hard fucking work, dude. It's hard work. And I know what people say. Well, what about the people in Scranton and all these other places? They need jobs too. They do. They do. That's why you bring jobs there that are more modernized. And
give them skills. Yes.
That's why you don't destroy education.
It's so fucking not hard. Like it's too easy to pine for the past. And again, it's literally in the name. It's literally the name, conservative. It's literally in the fucking name. Like, so I get it. I get why they want to appeal to this thing. But you're right. The sooner people wake the fuck up and realize that, like, we have moved on, and it's a good thing that we have, so you don't have to, so that your fucking peepaw doesn't get the fucking black lung and die of fucking cancer, like everyone was fucking doing, because they worked in the fucking mines for 30 years. That's a good thing that we don't have to do that shit anymore. It fucking sucks that other people have to do it around the world, but we need our fucking lithium batteries to power our fucking electronics and this, that, or the other thing.
And here's the thing. There's going to come a time with each of these countries that we absolutely utilize to get all of our cheap phones and everything else. Every number of generations, another one of those countries is going to die off and become modernized. And it slides to the next country. Because you think India's going to stay doing this cheap labor shit? You know how many fucking engineers are over there? Like, you think, like, quite literally, it is the reason why they're like, oh, it's such a budding economy. It's because, yes, it's making a lot of money, but more importantly, young people are getting educated. And when young people get educated, it starts to change the entire country because they go, well,
isn't that weird? Isn't that weird isn't that weird how the fucking industrial age of America helped propel the growth of colleges in America and get people like skills and educations that they don't need to do those jobs anymore? Isn't it weird how that fucking works? And it's like, seems like a natural cycle that you can kind of count on to make shit happen.
And yet that natural cycle, these people want the Industrial Revolution, a higher education, and then they want to go all the way back to bringing back an Industrial Revolution. Why? It's not supposed to be a circle, guys. Like, it's supposed to be a one-time cycle. Like, you get there and then you fucking move on to the next part of the cycle, or a different cycle that is higher education, I don't know, artificial intelligence, space travel, whatever the fuck it is. You start moving forward. You guys are still stuck in this loop. You're like, but how, like, you hear conservatives like, electric cars aren't the future. This is the same mindset of these people. Mm-hmm. They are Luddites. They don't want to change. They don't want to move. The world is moving past you, and the world is moving past the United States, but we have someone at the helm who is unwilling to see that. He thinks he can just put his fucking, Trump stake in the ground and go, we ain't moving. And now you see what the economy is doing because of it, right? And like, he's going, put the brakes on it, and everyone's like, okay, and then everyone's falling off a cliff. That's not good. By the way, it's not just the American economy. This affects the world economy too. Mm-hmm. So, yep. All right. So, news you need. God damn it. I did not want to get fired up about that. I really didn't.
Dude, I've been raging for the past, like, pretty much all week.
No, it's fair. It's fair. So, you know who else has been quietly raging? He's just.
No, actually, not so quiet. Actually,
not quiet, but calmly raging. Look, I am on record in saying that Cory Booker is a herb. Okay, Cory Booker is a big old dork. he would probably tell you the same. Look at this picture in this story. He's a nerd, right? He's a big old nerd. But he's a good dude. And he gives a shit. And he's a legitimate guy. When people are like, there are no good politicians. Cory Booker is one of them. Like, he's a good politician. He doesn't always get it right. He's got some corporate ties because, of course, right?
He's weirdly tied to the pharma industry in ways that's bizarre and holds us back in some ways. But
let that go. Just let it go. You're popular enough in New Jersey. You'd be fine. Like you don't need these people, right? But he's a legitimate dude, and he decided that he said he heard from his constituents in New Jersey. Both on the liberal side and the conservative side, saying like, hey man, we are pissed about what's happening in DC. We're pissed at Donald Trump and the Republicans. This is fucking horseshit. You got to get loud. You got to do something. And you know what? To his credit, he listened. And he went up and did what? 25
hours and 5 minutes on the Senate floor, holding the floor, which is a record. And very poetically, the record that he broke used to belong to one of the biggest pieces of shit to ever hold political office in this country, Strom Thurmond, who set that record filibustering against the Civil Rights Act in the late 1950s.
Yeah.
So pretty cool that a black man was the one to get up there and relegate that little bit of history to the dustbin.
Look, I think it's great. He was, of course, Booker was assisted by fellow Democrats who gave him a break from speaking by asking him questions on the Senate floor, which is dope. It reminds me of that moment in The West Wing, which I love. I was like, this is like pure Sorkinism. Like I love it.
I'm about to say we know you're very Sorkin filled. So.
Yes, I 100%. Like everyone has to talk extremely fast for no reason. Like just slow down. We don't have to walk right now. We could just talk by sitting down. It's fine, Aaron. It's totally fine. No, but look, I'm proud of Cory Booker. I think it matters. Obviously, he's talking about the disgusting behavior of the Trump administration and Donald Trump very specifically in democracy and like our
this is the wild thing too. So this is something he planned to do. He didn't really tell anyone that he was doing it.
No.
Apparently, he fasted since the prior. So he did this on Monday, I believe. He had or Tuesday. He did it on Tuesday. He had fasted since the prior Saturday, and he apparently stopped drinking water on like Sunday, like sometime on Sunday, to prepare for this because he can't go to the bathroom while he's holding the floor because you have to yield the floor in order to step out of the chamber to take a pee break. So he literally stood there in the well for this entire time, talking for most of the time. And unlike Strom Thurmond, who at points during his filibuster read out of the encyclopedia, and unlike Ted Cruz, who when he did his famous filibuster against funding the government back in 2013, was reading Dr. Seuss and Green Eggs and Ham, Cory Booker did not waste any time during this speaking session. He had stuff to talk about the entire time, which is really fucking impressive, and it got a shitload of attention. Like this is all people were talking about on Tuesday, as Monday night into Tuesday, as it was building momentum, as it was going, and you're like, oh, big fucking deal. I mean, doing this, like, he wasn't filibustering anything specifically, but by doing this, he did delay like the Senate's business for like an entire day. Like they could not do anything while he was up here doing this. I'm hoping it inspires a lot of Democrats to get off of their ass in a similar fashion and realize like, oh shit, we got to do some different stuff to get attention, and we have to do things. We can't just do things like we've been doing them for the past several years. Exactly. And immediately in the wake of that, like Adam Schiff talked about, hey, like I'm gonna move to put in. I don't know what rule he's gonna trigger to block Ed Martin, who's going to be the district attorney nomination for DC that the Trump administration plans on putting up here soon. And I think it's kind of inspired a lot of Democrats to get in the game.
Get in the fight. That's right. So. And look, Schiff, you should already be in the fight. Come on, man. Like this is your fucking bread and butter, right? Like, so I'm proud of Cory Booker though. I really am. I've always liked him. Like, I was a little angry at him while he was dating Rosario Dawson. Just that was just me personally. But also proud. Like, yeah. For dorks everywhere, go Cory Booker. She could have been the first lady, man.
By the way, a weird fact came out of this that people found in, I think, John Fetterman's book or either his or Cory Booker's book. Apparently, Cory Booker dated John Fetterman's wife before she was with John Fetterman for a time. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's wild. Oh shit. Yeah. Cory Booker's out there.
That's a weird factoid for you.
That is a weird one.
Yeah.
Cory Booker's out there slinging dick, guys. Like, I'm just saying, dude. Like, I don't know what's going on, yo. Look, I'm gonna start the rumor. Cory Booker is fucking packing heat. Right? Like, I could go 25 hours, ladies. What's up? No, but that's dope, man. And especially it breaking Strom Thurmond's record. I think that's dope as fuck. Because that piece of shit. Again, you're famous for filibustering the civil rights movement. Thanks a lot. Like, and you lost. So fuck you. I was gonna say something rude. I will. I'm glad he's dead. He always looked to me like the guy in those Silence of the Lambs movies, or maybe it was Hannibal, where the guy had his face.
Yes, you're right. Fucking Gary Oldman's character. Yes, he looked
Gary
exactly
Oldman
like that. Like, yes, 100%.
Yeah, he looked like that guy. He looked as good as a man. I
never put that together. But you are spot on.
Yeah, and it's funny because Gary Oldman's character looked better, which is wild. So yeah, that was a huge accomplishment. So I do want to acknowledge that. Next up, Social Security acting leader faces calls to resign over decision to cut Maine's contracts. Have you read this story, Brad? This is fucking remarkable.
I have read this story, and it's funny what it comes back to, because I don't know if you guys remember this. We talked about it briefly on the show. Oh, yeah. So Trump had a luncheon, like the annual governor's luncheon, where he brings in all the governors and fucking talks in front of them or whatever at the White House. And there was a viral moment that came from that where he basically called out Janet Mills, who's the governor of Maine, for essentially defying the federal government's directive to basically like, he's like, oh, you guys are still allowing transgender athletes to participate in college sports.
Yeah. And you won't bend the knee to his executive order, basically.
Right. And she was like, yeah, because that's what our state law says. That's what we're going to do. And he called her out on it, and he's like, oh, we'll pull your funding. And she's like, I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
And so this story is a follow up to that. This is the reciprocation.
Yeah. So Social Security Administration's acting commissioner is being told that he should step down. Spoiler alert, he's not going to. Okay. But because there were newly unearthed emails showing that on March 5th, Social Security had made a decision to cut funding, Social Security contracts, to the state of Maine, because I don't know if this. Oh yeah, it does have the quote. Leland Dudick, who is the acting commissioner, said, "quote No money will go from the public trust to a petulant child." Is how he referred to Janet Mills. She's the petulant child because she was following the law, but the guy you work for isn't the petulant child or you're not the petulant child for cutting Social Security benefits for an entire state because she wouldn't shit on transgender athletes. By the way, following the fucking laws of the country and of her state.
Well, and it wasn't just that, by the way. So the thing that they did first, before they went to trying to cut funding, is this piece of shit issued an order saying that Maine parents, and only parents in Maine, who had newborns. So typically when you have a kid, like all the Social Security paperwork is handled at the hospital. Because you're already fucking there. You're probably going to be there for a couple days anyway. Like it's easy to do because you're trying to take care of this new fucking child that you have and learn the ropes of being a new parent. So pretty, it's something that's happened for decades. Well, the order that he put out was like, well, now in every state, the order that he put out said, well, now if you live in Maine and you have a kid, you're going to actually have to go down to the Social Security office to register your child with a Social Security number instead of it happening at the hospital. Now, that got quickly rescinded because people were like, what the fuck? Yeah. And he had to walk that back really quickly. But then he went to this funding cut that they're trying to make
but I think they walked that back as well. Like, when that got unearthed, they were like, ooh, did you see our emails? Was it in Gmail? More on that later. Who's the petulant child? You're trying to hurt Maine citizens because she stood up against a ruling, or not even a ruling. She stood up against an edict that you put out. And she was like, I'm just doing what our state and federal government actually says, not your fucking just random edict that you came up with. Like, she's the asshole. This is how you handle him. Like, when I was reading and remembering back that little exchange they had at the governor's thing, because you can watch the video of it. I mean, I would have been way harsher. She was tough, right? She was just like, I'll see you in court. And he was like, yeah, you will see me in court. She was like, okay. Like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. I just said what I said. Like, the fuck, you want me to repeat it? But I would have been way harsher because, he weirdly respects people who push back at him, right? Like, he's
like any bully.
Right.
He's like any bully. You punch him in the face, they back down. Yeah. I don't understand why people don't understand that. And again, something that's happened a million times before. Like you stand up to this administration, they back down. It's already happened. Like, we're seeing it happening now.
Right. I skied it. I don't know, on Blue Sky or whatever it is, whatever tweet is. Skeet. I don't know.
Which is why, like we talked about last week, like, like with Columbia and all these schools and all these law firms, like capitulating and bending the knee. Like, what are you doing? Like, all you're showing is weakness, which means that they're going to come after you that much more.
Yeah, they're just going to double down, and they already got your number at that point, right? Because they know that you're weak, right? Because you're now at a lower position. You're like, please don't hurt me, and they're like, I'm already punching you. Like, I'm going to punch you again, of course. Like, this is fun for us. So. Like, I would have been way harsher.
I saw a great post today that more people. So, like, how people are telling people, hey, don't comply in advance or don't obey in advance, that sort of thing. Cool. And they're like, we got to get away from that because, like, you're scolding your friends and, like, it sounds argumentative with people that you agree with. The new thing should be, fuck you, make me. Because that's directed at the right person. That's directed at the people that are actually trying to hold you back. Shows defiance in their fucking face. What you need to. So instead of don't comply in advance, fuck you, make me.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the sort of black bagging of individuals and due process in just a few minutes. I'm gonna tell you something that's going to happen. Much like fucking Johnny Carson, I'm gonna Kreskin the magician this shit, and I'm gonna tell you the future. And when you hear my prediction, you're going to go, yeah, that is a 100% thing that's going to happen. I guarantee it. So, fuck you, make me is that's a pretty good response. Yeah. Because, I mean, when he said, oh, are you going to comply with, my edict? I'd be like, no. I wouldn't have even given over like a reason why. I would have just said no or just laughed because that sounds like some asshole thing I would do. And then he'd be like, I'm going to cut your funding. And my answer would have been like, do it. Like, I just do it. Like, if you want to, actually, it'd probably be something more antagonistic than that. Like, if you want to hurt all of the citizens of Maine over something petty, feel free to do that. I know the cameras are there. I'm on my soapbox, baby. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So did she. And that's exactly how you're supposed to play it. Just push back. Stop fucking bending to these guys. They're gonna write news stories about us. They're gonna yell at us on Fox News. Let them yell. All it's doing is raising.
They're gonna yell anyway.
Yeah,
they're getting like I said. Facebook's bending the knee left and right. Did you see how much money Meta lost today?
No, but I'm gonna look because again, new kink unlocked. Good. I hope it was $1 trillion. Fuck them. Wow, they lost almost 9% today.
Yeah.
Best of luck, bitches. Look, I love this for you. I truly do. I really love that for them. So they made a shit ton of money just after January. I guess that was when they said we're no longer going to censor anything.
Right. We're not going to fact check things anymore. We're not going to censor hate speech and stuff like that.
They went full laissez-faire. So they made a shit ton of money in February, and then February 14th, Valentine's Day, it was like, end of that. And then they just been dropping like a motherfucker since then. But look, that's what you get. That's what you get. It couldn't happen to a worse group of individuals. So good. I don't care. I hope you all end up destitute. Like I truly, truly do. I hate billionaires, all of them. Free Luigi. Like that's just my attitude at this point. I just do not give a fuck about any of these people. I hope that they suffer. I don't need you to get shot. Like maybe in the knee.
It's like the Kevin Cruz joke of like people are just like every time the rich like get out over their skis a little bit, like all this story has to do is like wheel in the fucking Porsche of people storming the Bastille, and they're just like, oh yeah, like, shit. Maybe we better calm down a little bit.
It's just the animated gif of Luigi turning around like, oh shit, all right. Distribute the wealth. Yeah, knock it the fuck off. All right, so let's take another just a real quick break, and we're gonna talk about the El Salvadorian prison story, which I think is a fucking huge deal. All right, White House admits that it deported a legal migrant to El Salvadorian prison, quote, in error, but more importantly, they can't get him back. All right, this is a Maryland. This guy's from Maryland, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He is.
So this guy's name is Abrego Garcia, and so they pick this guy up. He is married. He's married, has a child and a wife. His wife is a U.S. citizen, which makes him legally in the United States. And of course,
and he was here under protected status, by the way.
Right. So he is not.
So he was in the country legally.
Right. So he is not. He's not an immigrant. Not an illegal immigrant. He is of legal status. He is married to an American citizen. Those are all under the guise of a person who is here or a person who's in the United States legally and are not a problem. Okay. He has no criminal record. He had a tattoo, but it was I believe this is the guy who had the tattoo that was like an autism awareness.
No, this wasn't him. That was unfortunately a third
another guy. It was another guy who got
whole other guy.
Right. So, but this guy had no criminal record. He did nothing wrong. This was literally a clerical error that they went after this guy and picked him up and sent him there. This is nothing short of something that everyone in the administration who was involved in this, including the president and the vice president, should go to prison for.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. They should go to prison for this.
Yeah.
This should piss off everyone. This is not a partisan issue. This is not well, Democrats are really fine with this and Republicans aren't. Let's talk about well, maybe this. No, this person is a legal member of our society, and they blackbagged him and put him in a fucking El Salvadorian prison. Not an American prison. They just sent this dude to another country that he's not from, he has no connection to at all.
Well, and the thing is, their argument for why they can now do nothing about this is because he's not in American custody. They can't force the El Salvadorian government to return him, so they have no recourse to basically get this dude back. Which that's not bullshit. Acceptable, and
that's bullshit. If you have a connection to send him, you have a connection to get him back. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
And here's the part that's really gonna fucking piss you off. So the person who's really making himself look bad in what's already a pretty fucking bad situation is JD Vance. Because JD Vance took it upon himself to double down on sending this dude specifically out of the country, despite the fact that the administration that he is in came out and said, yeah, we fucked up on this one. We screwed up on this one, to the point where JD Vance went on Fox today and tried to argue that this guy was not Father of the Year. He had traffic violations. So that's not necessarily to say, like, he literally said that. I'm not fucking making it up. Apparently, if you run a red light, or if you fucking don't stop at a stop sign, or if you get caught speeding, that's grounds to be fucking thrown into a fucking El Salvadorian gulag nowadays.
Okay, just pause. I'd like to just pause for blackness here. This is exactly what they do when a black man is shot or a black woman is shot by police or killed in police custody. And it's like, clearly the police have no argument of why they did it. The guy's like, hey, I have a gun. Like, it's a legal gun. And they shoot the guy anyway. And you're like, why'd you do it? And they're like, I don't know. They immediately do this to black people, which is, well, on social media, he once said that Donald Trump's a piece of shit, or that he disagreed that the Eagles should have gone to the Super Bowl. Whatever fucking horseshit they can come up with to justify this horrendous thing happening to this person. He has traffic violations? Bitch, I have traffic violations. Doesn't mean I can get dragged off to a gulag. That's insanity. Why don't you just say you fucked up and we're working to get this?
Because you can't. Because you can't. Because if you do, then you open yourself up to, whatever consequences come.
Legal recourse.
They can't admit.
Be sued into the fucking ground, man. They should. That poor woman should. Any lawyer worth their fucking salt.
Oh, they're going to. They are. I mean, right now they have an attorney who's currently working on getting him out of El Salvador and back to the fucking country. Like, that's fucking step number one. But you better believe that they're going to fucking file suit against the federal government. For this shit, and they're going to.
They absolutely should win. What the fuck? But the fact that they're just like, dude, okay, I'm not saying, like, I'm not gonna give this like, well, okay, they're at least they're, they should just be trying to get him back. No, you should have never done what you did to begin with, right? None of this, any of it, any of these people, even people who are a part of this gang, this Venezuelan gang or whatever, none of these people should be just thrown into an El Salvadorian prison. That's fucking insane. That's not how our country works. Maybe that's how other countries work, but that's not how the United States works. But all of that.
But here's the other thing, and this is a there's a dude on Twitter, and I don't know who this guy is, but he made a really cogent point about this. The administration can't afford for this guy to come back to the United States. They can't afford for it to happen.
Not
because if he does, he can talk about, well, what goes on at this mysterious prison that we've heard so much about? What was a day in the life like at this place that we're talking about? How did you get roped up in all this to begin with? And if this dude is allowed to fucking speak on that shit, it's gonna look real fucking bad for the Trump administration and for Bukele as well for allowing this shit to go on in what's most certainly like a human rights violating institution. Based on the article that you sent me and the stuff that has come out about this place. Yeah.
Right. Like, what is it? SACOD, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Look, I am not educated enough on sort of El Salvadorian like gang violence by any means. I know it's pretty bad or was really, really bad. And I don't take anything away from that. I understand the impetus for wanting to build something that's like fucking Arkham Asylum for these like crazy gangs, and they're super violent and terrorizing people and killing a lot of people. I get all of that. I get even making it harsh. I understand that. What I do, and again, I'm going to just stay out of that because again, I don't know enough about that situation. I'm against from a standpoint of like violating people's human rights of like, you just go into this box and you live there until you die type of shit. I'm just against that, right? Does that mean I think these people should be free and roaming around? No, relax, right? I'm liberal. I'm not that fucking crazy liberal. Everyone should be free and decide their own futures. Like, no, these guys are gang members and they murder people. Like, it's fine, right? They can get locked up. What I have a major problem with is this idea of you being able to send American citizens to basically a black site and just getting rid of them. That's not okay. Right? The argument from the administration and that bubblehead fucking moron they have as press secretary is, well, he's not an American citizen, so we don't have due process issues. You do, though. You do. And American citizens have got to stop allowing and actually it's not even American citizens, the media has got to stop allowing these debates over what is clearly in the Constitution.
Yeah, and that's you're right about that. Like when one side is
crazy,
like when one side is making a factual statement and the other side is just making up bullshit. It's not a debate.
It's not a debate. And stop getting up there and be like, "Oh, what is your thoughts?" Other Pam Bondi-like character. I don't even know her name. Like Susie Blonde. Who gives a fuck? She's the worst fucking press secretary I've seen in a long time. Besides the dumb one.
Which is saying something because like Trump had a murderer's row of horrible press secretaries during round one. So
yeah, I mean, you had that one woman during the Bush administration who didn't know anything about the Bay of Pigs, which was amazing. I was like, you work in the government? All right. You know what? Imposter syndrome, again, don't bother having it. It's ridiculous.
But here's the other thing that, to your point, yes, every person in this country, regardless of whether or not you are a bona fide citizen, has due process rights under our Constitution. Like, it's literally in the Constitution. The Constitution takes great pains to separate in that amendment the word citizen from the due process clause because they wanted to make it clear, like that this is. You have it? Yeah, please, by all means.
Oh no, buddy, I got lots of information. All right, so first off, so there are two parts of the Constitution that discuss due process, right? The Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. The Fifth Amendment has far more to do with the federal government, right? As far as but I'll read it. But it's mostly focused on the federal government. No person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on the presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces. Again, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But basically, nor shall they be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation, right? That's about the federal government. The 14th Amendment, Section 1, which is this is what we really care about, and this is what's relevant here. And I mentioned the Fifth Amendment for a reason, and I'll get back to that. 14th Amendment, Section 1 says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Now, I know if you stop reading there, you go, see? But wait, there's more. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. Within its jurisdiction. That phrase is crucial. It clarifies who is protected under this amendment, namely those who are legally subject to U.S. laws, citizens and legal residents, right? This guy's a legal resident. However, the due process clause here restricts states' governments from infringing on rights without fair legal procedures. The equal protection clause that follows also ties into jurisdiction, requiring states to apply laws fairly to, quote, all persons within their jurisdiction, not just citizens. And you could say, well, that's your interpretation. It isn't my interpretation because there are also
the Supreme Court's interpretation.
It's the Supreme Court's interpretation. Relevant court rulings on this, right? Yick Wo versus Hopkins, 1886. Supreme Court ruled that non-citizens are protected by the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Quote, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution is not confined to the protection of citizens. It says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Then you can go to 2001, right? We can get a little bit more modern. Zedvadas versus Davis. Court held that even non-citizens who are unlawfully present in the United States cannot be detained indefinitely. They still have the right of due process rights. Plyer versus Doe, 1982, struck down a Texas law denying education to undocumented children, reaffirming that, quote, illegal aliens are persons under the Constitution and thus entitled to due process and equal protection. There is no argument that this guy should not have gotten due process. There is no argument that anybody who is on a visa on a college campus can get blackbagged and deported without due process. There is no argument. It is not me making it up. It is the fucking Supreme Court's interpretation of what the Constitution says. And what it clearly says is that persons, not just citizens, are protected and require due process if they are within the jurisdiction of the United States, American soil, right? So just quickly, just a quick rundown. People who are protected under federal and state, by federal government and by state governments for due process, right? The Fifth Amendment handles whether they are protected by the federal government, and the 14th Amendment is whether they're protected by the state governments for due process. Spoiler alert, the list of people I'm going to tell you are in both categories. They are protected by both, okay? U.S. citizens are protected. Lawful permanent residents are protected. Visa holders / legal immigrants are protected, which he was, okay? Undocumented immigrants are protected. Foreign nationals in U.S. legally or not are protected. You know who isn't protected? Foreign diplomats and occupying forces or / enemies at war. Those are the only two groups that are in fact not protected by due process. He is not an occupying force, no matter what Republicans would tell you, and he is not an enemy at war with the United States, no matter what the Republican Party would tell you. This is bullshit, and those fuckers should be put in prison for this. They should be put in fucking prison for this. Everybody who authorizes shit, all the way up to the goddamn president, they should push your big dumb fucking head into the back of a squad car and drive your ass to fucking prison. It is bullshit. It is bullshit. There is no fucking, well, maybe. There's none of that. There's no middle ground on this. It is very clear. If you say that, well, we'll take it to the Supreme Court, cool, take it to the Supreme Court and you can have that argument. And then you can try to change the laws. You can get Congress to change the law. But as it is right now, get a fucking amendment done. Because as it stands right now, this is the law. That is what the Constitution says. Get fucked. It's bullshit, man. That story pissed me the fuck off. And people are just like, well, I mean, whatever. If they can do it to him, they can do it to you. How do you live in a country and you're okay with this? Because guess what? How do they know you're not a citizen if you don't have due process? If I can walk up to Brad,
that's kind of the whole fucking point. Exactly. Is
right.
That's why due process exists, so that you can get to the facts, so that you can get to the information that you need before you make a irreversible decision that results in this person potentially being in a fucking El Salvadorian jail for the rest of his fucking life. Right. I mean, it literally the whole origin of why we adopted due process in this country goes back to the fucking quote that everybody's heard before: better that 10 guilty men go free than one innocent person suffer. Like, that's literally the whole fucking ethos behind why we have due process in this country. Yeah. And again, and to your point as well, they'll do it to you. We have seen this story before. Like, this is not a new playbook. Like, again, this is why they're going after trans people. It's why they're going after people with disabilities, because you go after the weakest people first. And when people don't fucking make a stink about it, when people don't, take the hilt to back those people up, then you start moving up the fucking social ladder.
Mm-hmm. And look, and so here is me doing my Kruskin, the Magician show. Now that people see this, now that, especially, because conservatives are just like, whoa, what's going on? I don't even know. I don't even pay attention. But now that liberals see this, that you can be black bagged by people who are not in uniform. You have no idea whether they're actual work for the federal government. You have no idea who these people are. None. They just hey, come with us, and they just put you in a fucking van and just like take you to the airport.
Oh, by the way, like it's not on the docket, but I feel remiss to mention we had another college student that was picked up by ICE, thrown into a van, kicking and screaming in broad daylight, transported thousands of miles away, and they're kicking her out of the country. Do you know why? She's a graduate student. Do you know why they're kicking her out?
Yeah, she wrote some shit in a paper.
She wrote an op-ed saying, hey, maybe we should not be letting Israel bomb the shit out of Palestinian people. That's it.
Yep.
That's all it was.
So what's the justification now? Right? Because they make up shit like, oh, they're violent, they done all that. What's the justification now? They blackbagged this girl.
Oh, she according to the Secretary of State, she's a rabble rouser. So we need to get her like if you're gonna come over here and you're gonna cause trouble, cause a ruckus.
Yeah,
you're gonna go.
So here's my prediction. Now that you know that, what's the over under on these guys coming to these protests on Saturday or coming to other events and trying to black bag someone and they get shot or there's a shootout because you're getting to a point where you're making American citizens start to question who the fuck are these people? And if people start to do that, and they already are, and they figure, well, there's no recourse for these people, we have to save them. And I don't know who the fuck you are. What stops like just bad dudes from just grabbing some woman off the street? There's no information. Oh no, we're with ICE. How would you know?
Yeah, that's the other thing. The people that picked up the grad student weren't in uniform, weren't wearing identification, had on masks to cover themselves up. There's video of it, and you can see bystanders be like, "Who the fuck are you guys?" Like not identifying themselves in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, like when you start doing that shit, you're right. Like people are going to be like, okay, like if this is how it's going to be, I'm going to protect myself as Republicans say I should be able to under the Second Amendment. And then what?
So then what? Right. Like, again, I'm just saying, man, you are creating a powder keg. You are. And no one else is doing this but you. You're doing it. Like, if you wanted to do this shit, and again, I am vehemently against all of this. Spoiler alert, rewind the fucking video 12 seconds ago. Like, it is very obvious, right? I'm not cool with any of this shit. But if you were going to do this, you wouldn't do it with a bunch of unidentified people. You would do it in an upright, in-your-face way. These people are from ICE. We're taking you into custody because X, Y, and Z. We have a warrant out for your arrest. Like, you would just do that. But to black bag them and shit, you're really going to have a hard time beating the charges of you're kind of like the SS. You're going to have a real hard time beating the Nazi comparisons. Like, you just are. You're the state police. Right?
Well, and again, like we're not stupid. Like the whole point is to cause fear. The whole point is to tamp down on dissent and to make people not want to fight. But again, I don't read a fucking history book, man. Like doing this kind of shit doesn't really make people back down. Usually makes people rise up that much harder.
Yeah. And look, people will back down for a bit because they're scared until you get like some Italian kid who decides that he's going to do some different shit, right? Like those kind of moments, like, you know, love them or not, those are watershed moments. They are. And the idea that you're just, because now this story is very real, is that they put a guy in this prison who was innocent. Not a guy who you're like, oh, I don't want to defend the fucking like, this guy who's like maybe a murdering fucking MS-13 guy. I don't want to defend that guy, right? You don't want to be on the internet defending that. But you can be on the internet defending this. There's no problem in defending this. This guy's innocent. So how long do you think you can go before people bring guns with them to these events? How long? How long before you have citizens firing shots at these ICE guys or whoever the fuck they are, trying to protect? Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not a gun guy. I'm just not. This is not my bag. But if I was, and even though I'm not, if I see a van pull up and just start grabbing a woman off the street, yo, what the fuck? Like, there's going to come a time where people go, let's ride on these people, dude. There's 5 of them and there's 20 of us, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's going to get to that point. And it's going to get to a point where major American cities that are largely not like that are just going to have a bunch of people carrying guns around. That's not a good thing. That's a bad situation. And once that can of tuna or
toothpaste
is out of the tube, worm is out of the can, whatever the fuck the term is. Once that's fucking out there, cat is out of the bag. Yeah, there you go. Once that cat is out of the toothpaste container, you can't put it back, right? You can't, because you've gone over the edge. It is only a matter of time before people feel the need to fight back in a bunch of ways that none of it is positive. Because the story is going to be, I can't believe that this liberal person shot a member of ICE. Woe is me. And my thought is, I can't believe it took this long.
Right.
I'm serious. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm just telling you, what the fuck do you think is going to happen when you're snatching kids? These are kids, right? Like this guy was older, but you're snatching kids off of college campuses? What the fuck, man? What happens when they start to come after people in conservative areas? Right? Yeah, maybe that person's liberal or whatever, but if you're in shit kicking Georgia or whatever, you don't know that. You just, this is a guy with a cowboy hat on. I don't know. That guy's just like me. When they come and snatch his ass up, what do you think happens? Like, you have to realize that your actions have consequences, right? Isn't this like part of like thermodynamics? Like these are a couple of rules. Like there is always going to, right. There is going to be an opposite and equal reaction. You cannot just think that you can black bag people on the street and everyone is going to go, that's cool, bro. Not a big deal. Ask Viktor Orban. He's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Right. Like, and that's Hungary. And he's got a pretty tight grip on that fucking country until he does.
He's got the courts. He's got the legislature, and he's still getting run out on a rail.
Right.
Regardless. So.
Again, apropos of nothing, I need people to look up how Muammar Gaddafi died. Okay, like they will come for you, man. They will come for you, and it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but this type of shit sets people off, and people watch shit like that, and they go,
"We can only." We can only be so lucky if Trump Vance et al. Ended in a Gaddafi-like fashion. That'd be glorious. Not for them.
No. No, it would not. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.